Do you want to add interesting and evolving movement effects on any instrument or sound in your music productions? Shade is a VST plugin that gives you a brand new way of using EQs, filters, and stereo effects with amazing automation. So let's check it out right now. So the way Shade works is actually very straightforward. First, you choose what effects you want to add to your sound. Then you'd apply a trigger effect to one or more parameters inside the controller effect. So here you have a range of effect categories that you can control or shape with the included triggers and movement effects. And in each category, you get variations of that specific effect. Then, as with effect controllers, with the trigger categories, you get a wide range of triggers to use for adding rhythm, movement, and various types of automations to your sounds. So for example, let's say you choose to use a low-pass filter as your control effect. Then you can apply a trigger effect to, let's say, the frequency center and another trigger effect to the Q value. And not only that, but you can in fact have several effect controllers going at the same time and using a variation of triggers on different parameters per controller effect. So for example, create an envelope trigger effect to control the frequency of your low-pass filter, and then create an LFO trigger to add movement to the Q value of that low-pass filter. And then you can go on, adding more effects and more triggers as you want. Now let's continue with the fun stuff, which is applying the shade effect in action on various instruments and sound and with different kinds of automation. Alright, so I will use this sound in an Omnisphere called Hybrid Warm String Section. Why? Well, because pads are amazing for adding modulation and movement to. So then you go here, click the plus sign and choose what kind of effect you want to add. Let's say we want to add a bandpass filter, like that. Then you can set any setting. So now it sounds like this, just has that static bandpass. Let's say you want to have it there. Then you can choose the Q value, changes the shape of the notch here, or the bandpass, and the frequency, of course, the center. You can choose the decibel per octave. Let's use it 12, so it doesn't, it isn't so steep. Q width here, how wide the notch is, like that. And then I want to add movement like this. Okay, so that is why you use a trigger, because now it's just a static effect. Of course, you could use that if you want, but that's not what this is about. I love LFOs because they add that evolving movement, cycling movement. So let's use a sine wave here. And by the way, just drag here from the L1, which was just created, to whatever you want to map it to, the frequency center in this case. And now you see it starts to move. Then you can change the rate or even put it on metronome setting here so you can sync it to, let's say, long 1 bar. The depth on 0, it doesn't do anything. 100 is max. You can also adjust how much it affects, not only with the depth, but here, as you can see, if you just hold or hover your mouse over the L1, drag downwards or upwards, you can see it changes here, how deep it goes. So let's use a very wide band, but let's use it slower because it's so wide, like that. You can change the shape here, the waveform, the pulse width of the wave, use a multiplier to change the speed in multiples, add swing, and so on. So this is the LFO on the bandpass filter. So kind of a drastic effect in this case because we went all in here. So let's hover our mouse here and make it just a smaller adjustment and make it even slower, like that. And of course, even while you have this effect on, you can change where the center point is. So let's make it a bit brighter. Now let's have some fun. Let's make it a bit more in the mid here and add another effect. So let's, in this case, use a, let's say, a phaser, a classic phaser. So, and by the way, if you right click here, you can delete an effect, duplicate it, and so on, or even in this case, bypass. We do that here, bypass this for now, or alt click. So we can just listen to what this does. So this is the static mode here. And let's add, let's say, so let's do a randomizer here. And add that, drag it to the frequency here. And as you can hear, it does a lot of things here. Stereo. You can also load or save patterns you created with these. And by the way, you don't have to go in and design yourself. You can use these presets if you want, but I prefer doing things myself and experiment. Let's reduce the mix here like so. Now you get some random humanization in the waveform. And let's use this one as well. Turn it on here. Oh yeah, this is the on-off button on each effect. And this is the on-off button per the trigger. So now we have both of these at the same time. So we have the movement from the first one and the randomization from the second one. Okay, so, well, I didn't like that, so I will delete that effect and then add instead, let's say, a comb filter, something like that. And not a randomizer, but let's try a follower and then drag that to... Often you will use the frequency center or the cue width. Turn down the mix. See this. Okay, so this is the effect here. Let's see. Let's turn this on again. All right, was that field. Let's see what we have on special. Gain, tilt, expander, tilt, resonant phaser. Let's turn this off for now so we can see. Let's use another LFO with another setting here on quarter notes. Drag that to, let's see, the frequency. Of course, you can hold down the Option key or Alt key, left click and go back. So we need to change this Q down or up here. So to get that phaser, I think it's too fast. So let's use this instead. Try square wave. Now it creates clicks. Triangle. Let's have this back on as well. Did I turn it off? I turned it off. Okay. So this, I still want to have this at a higher frequency. Of course, this is a signal chain, so it starts with this low pass filter now, or bandpass, and it continues with this phaser. And of course, you can change it if you want to. Like I want to use notch here instead, multiple. It's still mapped to the same trigger here, but in case you want to use anything else, just delete that and let's use the XY. Map the X to the frequency, map the Y to the Q. And you have this, right? And I think you can control this by, let's see. I think you can map things to these XY controllers. So here you have X value and the Y value. Let's see if we can actually... Yeah, so you can actually... Oh, that's really cool. I didn't know that. You can add a trigger to another trigger. So now the randomizer 1 is on the X here position. Let's do another randomizer and map that to the Y. And let's see if we can increase... Yeah, left click and add a spacing, and now it's super. So this is multi-notch. I don't want a multi-notch. I want a, let's say, peak EQ. Can we get this to work? Gain? Yeah. Okay. Need more movement. Oh, so there it is. I'll just right click and soloed it. Now it's too much. Too much gain. Really cool movement. It almost becomes like a phaser with this. But I should probably use a wider Q value. Let's try something like that instead. And then I think this goes too far to the right. So I will set it here and reduce it a bit. Like that. Because in this case, with I want it more subtle. It changes the movement. Perhaps a bit more. Let's add a third effect. Let's use a comb filter flanger. Let's use this tilt resonant. And you can also use the same ones you used before. And by the way, you can just scroll here. Let's use the first LFO to the frequency of this one here. And you can see what it does here. Let's use Q up, Q down. I want to see it in solo. How do we do it? Oh yeah, so this is the reel with comb flanger. Now it's very slow, so let's add the randomizer 1 to the Q width. Randomizer 2 to the Q down. Let's turn on these as well. So as you can hear, it creates that evolving movement. And of course, you can do rhythmic stuff as well. So if you just, let's delete these ones here. We don't need them. In fact, we can just use a preset to show this. So you have animated basic, animated complex. Because this is actually using this kind of envelope thing here. So it creates the movement that way. You have gates, LFO. Let's try another one. Hawk. More rhythmic stuff here. And let's do some coloring. So without again. It sounds like this. And now. I prefer these more subtle movement effects inside. You don't hear that rhythm as much, but you feel the movement. Especially if you use it in combination with, let's say, the mod wheel here on the strings. So you have a lot of this color thing here. You have the moving effects. Let's try here. As you can see, a lot of things going on here. Let's try another one. Should have started with the presets. But I think it's also essential that if you use this plugin, that you learn how to create these effects and automate the triggers yourself. But they had a lot of really interesting presets, to be honest. Stranger One. I want to try it on another sound, so I loaded up actually a bass sound in Trillion. And so let's close this and open up this other instance here of Shade. So I have this bass sound. Dirty, powerful, and mean. Let's do some animated basics. Just holding one note. Let's try another one. Gated waves. So this is just holding down the bass note C. Like this. Okay. Oh, wow. You have a limiter here. Actually. This is really good. You have a limiter because it's overdriven. Should probably reduce the output of Trillion, to be honest, since it's very hot, this signal. Oh, that's better. Let's try another one. Well, let's just use the arrows. So as you can hear, a lot cool stuff. Animated bass. Oh, I really love that. So I'm just playing this. And it turns into... really cool stuff. What I would have liked, I haven't found it, is like a master dry wet knob, so I could... I mean, you could use this as a send effect if you wanted to, but I would prefer it as an insert effect with a dry wet on the output. Because you have the depth on per trigger, but I'm not sure if there is actually an overall dry wet. Let's see, let's go on Dynamic Crusher. We already have a gritty, distorted sound, so to get some extra slight dirty movement here. let's do filtering. Auto. And of course, whenever you use one of these presets, let's use this big wave. You can go in and change whatever you want here inside plugin. Think it's too much in this figure here. Let's reduce the rate. This LFO, let's say it's too fast. Let's reduce the rate here. Get a lot of stereo movement here. Let's reduce the spread on that. Compared to so, as you can see, shade really is a way to instantly add movement onto especially long sustained pads, long bass notes. You could use it on any type of long guitar, strum tail, or any long sound basically. Turn it into modulated movement or complex rhythms. And I find it more fun. It's fun to start with presets, but going in and designing everything by yourself is where you will get the most creative power. So if you are looking for a movement, automation, and rhythm effect to use on your sounds, especially pads, basses, and long sounds like that, I recommend that you at least check out this. I will leave a link in the description. Now choose which video you are going to watch next. Or you can check out the amazing bonuses in the video description.